the Noose Cable from Misty's Cozy Cable Cardigan. This is what the Noose Cable, this is a sample, this is what it looks like. And the reason I call it a noose is because you've wrapped a hangman's noose around the cables. It's just, I didn't invent this cable. It's just an existing cable pattern that's out there in the world of knitting. It takes 28 rows to complete, and it is done over 16 stitches. Again, I'm going to assume you know how to read a cable chart, so I'm not going to review the whole cable chart, but I want to show you a couple of the ones that maybe aren't as standard. In the Noose Cable chart, you will see that there is the standard C4B, which is cable 4 back. There's an assumption here you know how to do that. A C4F, which is a cable 4 front. And again, an assumption that you know how to do that. Those are a little bit more standard for cables. But on here is something called a 3-stitch RPC, which I'm calling a right purl cross, and a 3-stitch left PC, which is I'm calling it a left purl cross. So how I do that. All right, on the pattern, we're going to knit rows 3 through 5 because there's some special stuff happening on row 5. So we'll knit those together so you see how it goes. So just download the Noose Cable chart from my pattern, and away we go. So we'll start on row 3, and I am just doing a couple of extra stitches on the end here just to have an edge before I get into the Noose Cable. Okay, so this just tells me I'm going to start my cable. So row 3, it starts with a it starts with a purl 1. Brilliant. And then it moves to a 3-stitch RPC, which is a right purl cross. So that means of these 3 stitches, there's 1 purl and 2 knit, and those 2 knit have to lean to the right. And the way that happens is, if you're using cable needles, which I don't, but I will right now. So you insert the cable needle into the, get out of the way, into the first purl stitch, and it goes behind like that. And then you, sorry, that's why I don't like using those cable needles. They just get in the way. Okay, so we knit those 2. And then we take the one from the back, which is a purl, and we purl that guy. So what happened is those 2 knit ones actually slanted to the right. All right, then you look next, and actually it's now a 3-stitch left LPC, left purl cable. So that means there's 3 stitches, and those 2 have to lean to the left. So if you are doing this at home, of course you're doing this at home, I take my cable needle and I insert it into the purl 1 at the back. Sorry, that's not what I do. I insert it into the two knit ones in the front. Sorry, and they go to the front. Then you purl the back, little brain fart there as I call it, and then we are going to knit those 2 that are on the cable needle. And what that has done has caused those 2 knit ones to lean over to the left. Following the pattern, then we purl 2, and we repeat then. It shows now again a 3-stitch RPC, or right purl cross, but I am not going to use this. It just goofs me up. So I know that these 2 have to lean to the right, which means this guy has to be at the back. So I pick those 2 up, I slide them all off, and I rescue that purl, which now has to be at the back, and I transfer those 2 over, and then I knit the 2. I don't know, I don't get mixed up this way. When I use a cable needle, I get mixed up. I don't know why. Okay, and then it's a 3-stitch left purl cross, which means that these 2 knit ones are going to have to lean to the left, which means this guy, wait, rescue that one. Okay, so now these 2 knit ones are going to be, see, they're now going to angle to the left. Put that purl on top, and now we purl, and then we knit and knit. It's very simple. It's not hard at all. And then the row 3 ends with a knit 1, which it does, and we're done. And I'll just do my little reverse stockinette that I did here. Okay, row 4 is next. I do use a row counter when I'm doing this as well. I hope you will too, or you'll get really mixed up. Okay, row 4. The nice thing about the Noose Cable chart is you really don't have to read any of the even or wrong side of your garment. You don't have to read any of the even chart, because all it is, you can if you want. Maybe it's helpful at the beginning, but all you are doing is just knitting exactly what is there. So just let me get to it. First I just do my reverse stockinette, which means I purl on the front and I knit on the back. All right, so I could follow the chart, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to knit what I see. So that stitch is knit. That is a purl. That's a purl. You have to be a little careful when you get to the part where the cables have crossed over. Just watch carefully though, and you'll get it. That's a knit. That one was crossed over, but I can tell that's a knit. And I can tell those two are purls. And there goes the phone. That's lovely. Getting interrupted. Okay, and then, sorry about that. Sorry about that telephone ringing. Don't you love it when that happens? Okay, so continuing on. So I can tell that that's a knit, and that's a knit. That's a purl. That's a purl. That's a knit. That's a knit. That is a purl. That is a purl. That is a knit. Easy. Right? That was row 4. You just knit exactly what was there. Now row 5, I know you're waiting for, because it's got that crazy thing that's called the 6 stitch noose. I'll show you how that works. Again, I didn't invent this cable. It's just one that's out there. I've seen it in pattern books from a long time ago. It's just one of those, I don't know what it's called. I just called it the Noose Cable. Okay, so row 5. Let's follow what it says. First we do a purl, followed by 2 knits, followed by 2 purls, followed by that crazy thing, which is the 6 stitch noose. So what you do is you poor Monica, who does not like using these, has to use it on this one. So you take 6 stitches and put them on the cable needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then what you do is pretend you're sort of looking at it from the top down, and you're going to wind your yarn around that cable needle, minding your other needles here, 3 times. So that's once. And how you don't wind it super tight, but don't make it too loose. Just sort of go with your tension. That's 2, and watch out for that needle that's in the way. And 3. That's 3. So that went around counterclockwise 3 times. And then I have to knit the ones that are on the needle. And so what you're doing is you are going to knit 2, because the first 2 actually are knit down below. You can't see them, but they are. So knit, oops, get off of there, knit, knit, and then the next 2 actually are purled in pattern, and that's what you do. Oh, this is going to drive me, it did drive me crazy doing this a little bit, I have to say. Purl, purl, and then knit and knit. And you do feel like hanging yourself at the end of that. So it's appropriately named the Noose Cable. But there it is. there's the noose. And then you just continue on in the pattern, which is purl 2, knit 2, purl 1, and we're done. I'll just do the 4 end stitches. Tight yarn here, just so it's off the needle. Okay, and there is the noose, lovely wrapped around the cables, the 2 cables that are running. So that is how you do the 6 stitch noose and some of the RPC and LPC, the right purl cross and left purl cross cables. But other than that, it should be straightforward. The only other symbols on here, as I said, are ones I assume you know how to do. Cable 4 back and cable 4 front. Have fun!